been a day of peace so far, and we see this peace now being a day of joy as well, as we now have a sense of freedom in many areas of this year of 2020. We can only go forward. You're not going to hear much from me today, but we know that, of course, it's the power of the month. We all know what that is: elimination, renunciation. I talked about most of it last week, and we've got a couple of guest speakers today, so I'll just share a couple of things. We live in an abundant universe, and sometimes we have to get rid of things to make room for other things. Those of you who remember our basement, it used to be full of junk, books, old furniture, old PA systems. And one day we all got together and we thought, okay, we'll use this power, release it and make way for the greater good. Well, we cleared the garage, but gradually over the next 2 months, people were bringing more books and stuff back for us. And that was just proof to us, release to receive. So we had to adjust our affirmation to receive only what we needed. And therefore we got our basement cleaned up, and it is now a beautiful little sanctuary, which we know 1 or 2 groups will look forward to sharing it with us when we get back. One other little story: when I was in Los Angeles 4 years ago, I was walking up Santa Monica Boulevard. I decided to walk from West Hollywood into the main part of Hollywood, the Hollywood special area where the Chinese theatre was and everything. And as I did, I walked up the wide footpaths, great atmosphere. And there was a couple of people there with a tin out wanting money, you know, street people. And above them, there was a high fence. Overgrowing the fence was the most beautiful lemon tree. And I thought, here's these people begging for money, and look above them. There's a lemon tree there. And of course, you know, I wasn't judging, but I was just observing. And I looked down further, and there's a couple of takeaway food containers thrown in the gutter. I thought, oh, this is a bit different. Anyway, it was just an observation how our abundant universe is. If I don't use stuff in my fridge, I don't like throwing it out, but we have to do something with it and keep the ball rolling. Release to receive. Now, I've told you about a few of my stories, so let's have a listen to a couple of other stories. First of all, Jill, welcome along, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thanks, Reverend Bill, and good morning to everyone. The story goes that this gentleman moved into a new area, and he was very, very happy with his home and his garden. But there was just one thing that was troubling him. The dog next door just kept howling. And it happened for a day. It happened for 2 days. And he kept thinking, surely this will stop. 5 days. And it kept going, and it was nearly driving him mad. So after nearly a month, he visited the man next door, and it was a beautiful day, like today, and the guy was sitting out under a tree in a chair with his newspaper and a cup of coffee. But the dog was howling, and he said, excuse me, but is that your dog? And he said, yes. He said, well, why is it howling? And he said, because it's sitting on a nail. And he said, well, why doesn't it get off? He said, because it's not hurting him badly enough yet. So the question I ask is, what nail are we sitting on that's not hurting us enough for us to get off and release it? I'm sure there's all a nail of some description, whether it's a career nail sticking into us, a habit, a relationship issue, a health issue, whatever it is, let's get off that nail. Let's release that. And so to release anything, a habit, a way of thinking, a dependency, or a struggle, we need to go within, for it all starts with a thought. I love the song this morning. We are the thinker that thinks the thought. We know that little saying, if we always think what we've always thought, we'll always do what we've always done. And if we always do what we've always done, we'll always get what we've always got. So in order to release and to change, we need to turn within, because it is the outer world, the outer environment that provides the triggers that push our buttons, that cause us to react in very predictable ways. And then those reactive neural pathways become very well established. So we're never going to win this battle outside, struggling with those outer things. We must turn within. Because when we release something, we then have a wonderful choice of what do we replace it with? What do we receive? And of course, we know that there's a multitude of choices and possibilities. And so I like to go back to that work we did with Dr. Joe Dispenza on breaking the habit of being yourself. So firstly, when we have released a habit, an attitude, or some addictive behaviour, and I guess if we're honest, we've all got little addictions along the spectrum a little bit, we need to turn within. We need to go with a clear intention of what that new choice is going to be. And then we can surrender this intention to a higher power and trust in the outcome. So we create the space for placing this very clear intention into the quantum field of possibilities by quieting our mind and turning inwards, where we consciously let go of all attachments to who we think we are, to our habits, our behaviours, and all our struggles. And where in that infinite void or field, we become pure consciousness. As Dr. Joe says, when we've let go, consciously let go of all our attachments, all of what we think we are, we become pure consciousness. And then that pure consciousness resonates with the universal consciousness of the divine. And then together with that clear intention and elevated emotion, we have to feel that new intention. Feel it. The feeling is much stronger than the knowledge or the words. And when we feel that release, we can give thanks for all that we now desire. I guess we can't expect this to happen with one sitting. We have to come back time and time again, I think, doing this same inner work. But when we repeatedly do this inner work of creating a vision of new habits and behaviours, we find that we will make choices consistent with that vision, and that synchronicities and opportunities will show up that allow us to express these new habits and behaviours. And so by the process of elimination or release, we open the channels for a flow of more conscious or higher energy that draws us towards the Christ consciousness. Like the elimination within our bodies, we have to keep the channels open, keep the energy flowing. And so as we release old ideas, limiting thoughts, addictive behaviours, we need to keep those channels open, keep the new energy flowing. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you. And we continue, and we'd like to welcome Jeanette. Thank you, Jeanette. Who's going
there
to
I am.
So,
good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you, Jill. That was great. And so we have, all of us know, we have many conversations both with ourselves and with others about release, about letting go of what we feel doesn't serve us anymore, or what seems to be holding us back, just as I'm just repeating what Jill has given us in different words. We feel we're not able to progress in the way that we choose to go, new ways. We want to do something new, something better, something bigger. And here we are saying, why can't I do this? Why, for me, it's why can't I write this book I'm supposed to be writing? But there we are. But we've also, as Jill has presented us, we have methods that we have learned or have read about or somebody has told us about that can help us in this letting go process. Now, what I've noticed over the years is some of these processes work for some people, but not for others. And I often ask, why? Why doesn't that process work for me or for my friend or for my kids? So some years ago, I came across a concept, when I say some years, I'm talking 30 plus years, that was about being complete in what we do in life. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but you find yourself setting out to do a particular task or something, and something interrupts it. The telephone or a person comes, or you think, oh, the time, I've got to go and do whatever else I've got to do. And if you do that enough times, what you'll find is that you get tireder and tireder and tireder, because all of those things are still sitting somewhere in your consciousness on your to-do list. And the longer your to-do list gets without you completing the things that are on it, the more you'll say, oh, I can't be bothered. I'll just sit and have a cup of coffee. I'll go, now we can go to the shops, of course, and have a cup of coffee. And off you go. But the list doesn't get done. If you suddenly catch on to this, or when I caught on, when I was introduced to me, I thought, oh, well, we'll try that. And it worked. I found that as I actually made the effort to complete the things that I had in process, then I had more energy for my life, for other things. But I want to go a little deeper than that, because what I found as I worked with this is that there's something deeper. I don't know about you, but in my early life, one of the things I heard more often than anything else was, will you be quiet? Go and sit down somewhere quietly where you're not making so much noise. And I can still remember being in grade 2, and we used to go around, each student we'd be reading, and each student would read a little bit from whatever we were reading. And when it was my turn to read, I couldn't get my voice loud enough for anybody to hear me. And the teacher would keep saying, read louder, lift your voice. And I would attempt to do this, but it didn't make any difference. I had totally embraced, will you be quiet? And so I want to give you an example about this that I think I have witnessed many times. You are with when you were a child, or you may have even, I have done this with my children. Everybody's playing quietly together, and suddenly there's a disagreement. And this disagreement amongst this bunch of kids gets louder and louder and louder. And then suddenly there's an adult on the scene, and they say, will you stop? Will you be quiet? And you know that this adult is looking at you, and you know they believe it's your fault. You started the whole deal. But you want to tell them that it wasn't you. It was Joan over there who started it, not you. It's not your fault. But as you try to speak, the adult says, if you don't want to be punished more, be quiet right now. Go and sit over there on the seat and be quiet, all of you. You know that adult believes you were responsible. So somewhere in you, you take on the whole idea of being quiet. And as time goes by, this slides into your unconscious. And for the rest of your life, it's quite possible, you will find it difficult to express your ideas to people, to put forward. You'll sort of think, oh, nobody wants to hear what I want to say, you know. Now, that's not something new and current. If you asked your friends, they'd say, no, that's not right. What is it you want to tell us? You know, deep within, you're not allowed to speak. And so it comes a time when you say, look, I'm going to try these new things that are coming along. I'm going to try affirmations. So you set yourself up and you begin to say your affirmation. I can speak. I can tell people my ideas are good. Whatever affirmations you write for yourself to say. Nothing changes. And you keep going. You set yourself up with the mirror. I don't know whether you people, but when I was first introduced to affirmations, you stood in front of a mirror and you spoke your affirmations to yourself. For some people, that works brilliantly. And for other people, as they say these words, the unconscious contradicts them. Now, you can't necessarily hear what your unconscious is telling you. It's often a feeling that comes forward. But it knows the truth of you. So as you say these words, it just says, no, that's not true for you. So here you are, wanting to go out and be in the world and share your ideas and get on with what you want to achieve. Meanwhile, your subconscious is taking care that you don't get into trouble anymore for speaking your truth. So you're left with it all still locked inside with what I call an incompletion. You were never able to tell that adult your truth. That's where it lies, right there. So what do we do about that? How do we access that subconscious so that we can make a difference in our lives? Well, there's a couple of ways that I like to share with you. One of them is your memory is a key point in this. You can sit yourself down quietly and take yourself through your memory to the points, a point in your life where this seems to be happening. And in your imagination, you see the scene and you see yourself, and you allow yourself in your imagination to say whatever it was that you wanted to say to the person who you feel was stopping you saying it. So to the adults present, as the small child says, it wasn't my fault at all. I did not create this. She did, or he did, or whoever did. And so you get to complete what you couldn't say as that young child. And then you just take time to breathe deeply and allow it to just dissipate into the ether and declare that it is complete. Another way, which is one that we already have, a little process we already have in Unity, but we only do it at New Year, and that's the burning bowl, where we write down something that's part of our life that we would like to release. And then we put the paper with the writing into the fire and let it go up into smoke. Now you can do that in your own time, in your own space. You can write a letter to whoever, make sure you put a name on it, to whoever you want to make the shift with. They may no longer even be present on the earth with you. That's irrelevant. So you write your letter, write all that you want to say to them that you couldn't say in the past, sign it, and light a fire or a candle. Take yourself somewhere where you're not going to burn yourself down. Put the letter to the flame and watch it burn and dissolve into smoke. Let the ashes fall to the earth and be consumed by the earth. I have found that both of those little processes have helped me tremendously to really let go and release things that have held me up in my life. And I do have to say that I have been so appreciative of being able to do it, because it's allowed me to shift and shift and shift and shift, which is, I think, what we're about, shifting and shifting and shifting until we come to a point where we truly know ourselves as love, as peace, as divine spirit, as Bill presents to us in that lovely prayer he's been saying each week. So thank you, everybody. Please, if you think that my little processes will help you, please take them on and find that place in yourself where you are ready to receive and let your dreams be fulfilled. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Just what we needed, some practical tools, affirmations and denials, but you brought something there for us today, which is really what I think we need at the right place at the right time. Thank you. And we see you healed and whole and sharing more with us as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jill, welcome back to Melbourne, and thank you for your words of wisdom. And we look forward to maybe one or two more of you sharing your words of wisdom over the next 2 months, which have got some profound changes for all of us. Nothing's going to be the same, but it's going to be better.